Gentlemen, uh, it is fascinating to kind of note that we started 3 years ago right, with a dream that we should have a session on citizen science, people coming and talking, practitioners coming and talking about their achievements, their in-depth field of research to the general public. And then now 36 episodes have done already, right? And then this is testimony to the Mysuru needs such a forum. Today, I have the honor and the privilege of introducing Akshaya Babu here. She's my colleague, and she has had about a decade of experience in various fields, especially image processing. And currently, she's working in L&T Technology Services Mysore division, and she leads a team of bright young engineers and Center of Excellence for Image Processing for Medical. So that's her area of specialization. She has, at this young age, she has filed 14 patents. Right? It's not something which we normally get across, and that is really very and most of them are in the field of image processing. I will read out the titles of a couple of them so that you get an idea of where she is working. One is that uh, one is about method and system for data balancing in hairline fracture detection. Hairline fracture detection. The other one is about uh, 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 method and system of analyzing blood smear image using deep learning model. Right? So these are the kind of things which is done right over the number of years now. And she leads in the patent field as far as L&T technology services is concerned. And I would say that in this field, right, of research from a private industry, right, of course, filing patents etc. is very well known in the academics, but in the private industry, it's not very well practiced in India, of course. She is also the recipient of the Women in Digital Award instituted by ISG, which is given to few people within India who have worked in private sector and working for digital in the field of broad field of digital. Right, so we are really proud of her. And now with that, she has, by the way, she has got a degree in electronics and communication and also a degree in AI and ML, right? A master's degree in AI and ML and then a bachelor's degree in electronics and communication, right? With that, I really welcome Akshay Babu on this will be in English today, right? But then we'll see.
Thank you, sir. So I think Shashi sir had done almost like one slide of my introduction here. So now I don't get to speak on that. So I thought I would say all these things. Yeah. So yeah. So good evening, a very warm good evening, everyone. Ellarku namaskara. This is all I know in Kannada. So like if my pronunciation is bad, so please bear with me. So I'll start with a little about myself. So as Shashita sir already given the introduction, so myself Akshaya Babu. Currently I'm working as a technical lead at L&T Technology Services. So I have around 8.5 years of experience mainly in image processing and AML domain. So I started my like I was a fresh recruit from my campus, which was like Modern Engineering College in Cochin. So I had done my BTech and in electronics and communication, and then I was recruited as a fresh recruit from my campus itself, and I got an opportunity to start my career in image processing. From then till now, in this 8.5 years, I have gone through multiple projects. I have led multiple projects, customer projects, internal projects, solutions, etc. In this particular field. So I am an engineer born and brought up at LTTS, I would say. So in this particular, so not in this 8.5 years, but at least in the past 4 to 5 years, I did this 14 patents. Few are done alone, few are like with the support of my entire team, which I was telling about. So like it has now brilliant young engineers are there under me. So they had also contributed to this. So like most of my patents were like in the medical image processing part, and then few were like having a blend of image processing plus AI. So I have listed down the names of it, but it's very hard to go through all of that. So around 14 patents I have filed in this field. And then apart from medical, I have done in few industrial products as well. Basically in image processing and AI itself. So without explaining much about myself, now I'll jump to the topic for today. So our topic for today is AI-enabled medical imaging. So before going to that, let's start with medical imaging first, then with artificial intelligence, then let's blend it together. Okay. So I hope this is going to be an interactive session. I'll try to keep you all awake. Okay. Yeah. So medical imaging part, when we start, in our day-to-day life, not in every day, but at least I think most of us who are there here would have gone through at least one medical imaging procedure. Correct? X-ray is the very common one in that. Everybody would have done based on health checkups or something else. We would have done X-rays, ultrasound, something which is very common. So basically, why medical imaging is for first is visualization purpose to happen to see what is happening in the body or what is happening in the bones or inside the body, all these things. In case doctor want to do a diagnosis or want to do the treatment or planning, or if they want to monitor the complete situation like how the tumor is growing or how they are acting towards the treatment which they are giving. So for all these things, we need medical imaging. So that's it about the medical imaging. So when I had started working on this, there are mainly four categories which we have touched. First is the radiology part. So basically, if you had got a pain in hand, like you hit somewhere or something, they don't directly cut you open. First, what they do? Go for an X-ray or do a radiology, CT, MRI, something, and get to understand the cause. Once they have understood the cause or once they couldn't get it, so imagine that there is a pain in your abdomen but which is unexplainable. Second thing is endoscopy, that is like live streaming lively what is happening inside your body would be seen there. Once they go to see there is there's some kind of abnormality something, they take the tissue and go for the pathology side of it, that analyze the tissue for whether it is cancerous or non-cancerous. That's going to be the pathology. Now, in case if they want to remove that cell growth or something, they cut out open and do the surgical procedure. So, in all these areas, there are medical imaging which is present, where we can, in the later slides, we would see how we can use AI into it. Okay. So, for just going deeper into this, we will start with radiology. So, basically, there are two forms of radiology. One is 2D, other is 3D. Okay. So 2D, we are very common with it, X-rays. So under X-ray, mostly we get to see either it's direct X-ray which will take single shot. Otherwise, imagine there is a kidney stone removal surgery going on, and meanwhile they want to see where the needle has reached or something. For that, we use the fluoroscopy part, where there is a continuous stream of low dose X-rays given, so that it will be like a video. Throughout, they will get to understand where that particular needle is, all these. And then we have which is again for the analysis of breast in case of any abnormalities present or not. And then we have angiography. So these are the common things, but they use X-rays at the back end. They use X-rays. And then we have the other thing, which is the ultrasound, which doesn't use any kind of radiation kind of thing, but it uses the sound waves to get the to visualize the internal organs. Basically, based on the reflections of sound waves, the transducer capture it and try to get the recreate it into an image, and we get to see this as well in the 2D real-time manner. So that is about the ultrasound. So these are the common things which we see. In case if we want to go in detail, so that time we do use CT, MRI, mostly 3D reconstruction from ultrasound. Ultrasound directly is not a 3D method, but it actually we can see there has been lot of advertisements that in during your pregnancy the child can be visualized in 3D format, or 3D reconstruction of the child has been done. All these things are there. So 3D reconstruction from ultrasound is possible. But if you see for CT or MRI, I think I will switch on to the other mic.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm clear, right? So you can see here, just imagine the 3D as a bread slice. If the bread slices are kept together, your human body is, okay? So one by one, so we will be kept on a motorized table, which will be taken through X-ray would be there would be detector below it. So we will be able to get, this is from the top view, this is from the front view, and this is from the side view. So this is how you get the CT of it. So in case if you want to see like bones or hard tissues in detail, CT would be the first goal, other than X-rays. Then we have our MRI, which is like more detailed into the. So for MRI, in case you want to see the more detailed way of it, we go for MRI. So the total analysis, I would go through that, and then we also have something called PET scan, which you would have either like heard about it or seen in even in movies. This PET scan is very common when there is a cancer treatment or cancer diagnosis, so all these things. So mainly that is like we would be like either orally or like injection. We would be taking a radioactive material which would react with the diseased tissues, and that would be like captured in the scan. So gamma rays would be emitted. So this is how we do with the PET. But mostly it is like nowadays they are doing it along with PET CT or PET MRI together. So these are the ways which we can do the 3D part of it. Now, if I were to summarize everything together, so basically the technology for CT remains X-ray itself. X-rays are the same things which are used for CT as well, but if you want to go in detail. Whereas for MRI, it is not having any radiation and it uses the magnetic fields and radio waves for it. And ultrasound is something which uses again, it's commonly used in mostly I think 5 months something we use it in pregnancy. So basically, it's very like it is not harmful. There is no radiation, and it mainly uses the sound waves. So there is a transducer which the probe something will doctor will be having on hand. So how the radio or the sound waves goes and emits back. Based on that, we get to visualize the internal organs. But the problem with ultrasound is it actually needs an expertise to like analyze the ultrasound. I had gone through ultrasound I think more than 10 times, but till now I don't get to understand what was there in that ultrasound. Doctors have been showing me this is your abdomen, but still I would say okay, but still I never got to understand anything from it. Okay, so we need an expertise for ultrasound to get to know. It is having a low quality image, but AI can act as a decision support there as well. So I'll come to that later. Again, X-rays, it's the common one. You stand in front of the detector and there would be X-rays emitted, and in the scattering, it would be captured in the tissue. So basically, if it is direct examining of bones, fractures, something like that, we directly go with the X-ray part. Otherwise, if you want to detailed one, 3D reconstruction, all those things, then we go with the CT. But CT is going to be 100 times X-rays. So that radiation effect is going to be there, but it gets completed in few minutes, 5 minutes or something. Whereas the magnetic fields which we use in MRI, it's gonna give, it is expensive and it takes a lot of time. Possibly from 30 minutes to mostly 90 minutes also it might go depending on the detail. And ultrasound, as I was telling, it's having the low quality images, but if there is any kind of muscle cramp or something, directly what they would try is for ultrasound before going for MRI or something. So this is the whole like summary about the medical imaging. So there are other types of medical imaging which are there apart from the radiology I was talking about. So first is the endoscopy. So mainly if you see the endoscopic procedures, in case if you have swallowed something accidentally, like child has swallowed a coin or something like that, first thing would be endoscopy. So there is going to be a tube-like structure which we are gonna like insert through your. It depends on which organ to be visualized. If you are going to see the like abdomen area or the gastroenterologist, what they would do is they would insert it through your mouth and there. Now there is capsule and endoscopy as well, where you would be swallowing the capsule. It gives you the entire visualization about the internal organs. So based on which organ to be looked at, we will have different endoscopic procedures. So if they want to look the bronchial tree, then it's like trachea, different branches of airways, all those things. And if they want to look at your large intestine, they insert this tube from the anus and then go through entire large intestine, visualize it, and come back. So these are the ways where we can see this is going to be the ultimate one which we will do for visualizing the entire, like if there is an abnormal growth or something, this is the. Now, once during the endoscopic procedure, imagine that we have found an like abnormal cell growth. So, along with the endoscopic tube which is inserted, there is a small hole through which doctors can insert a needle kind of thread. They would go plug the tissue and save it and send it to pathologists for looking whether it's cancerous or non-cancerous. So basically, pathologists will have like it takes days or most time will be gone for getting the result for this. So mainly because it is a tedious job for the pathologist to examine this under the microscope and get to know like which if there is an abnormal cell growth or not. Experts are there, so definitely that depends on their expertise to get the results early. I mean, they will be able to get the results early as well, but still, here also AI can act as a decision support to the pathologist to detect whether it's an abnormal or normal cell. So this is also where AI comes into picture. Now imagine that there is something to be removed from the body. So at that time, they cut out your open and then do the procedures to cut the cells or remove the cells or something like that. So not just in that, any kind of other procedures, laparoscopy or in any kind of keyhole surgeries, anywhere, we will be able to do the visualization like in all these places. We have our imaging will be there, so where we can bring out AI as a support. So here as well, during the if imagine that the surgery is done, there is a sealing performance. This is one of the use cases which we have worked on. There is a sealing performance done. During that, whether the sealing was done properly, whether it is bleeding, it's not bleeding. So all these things AI can support it. Before the doctor gets to know, or if he is not, if he has missed to identify there's an extra bleeding coming out, there would be already blood. So apart from that, if any extra bleeding is done, so depending on that, like AI can act as a decision support there. Now, once it is done, it is see everything is done for wound analysis, whether it's healed properly or not. That place also AI can act as a decision support. After sealing, like the suture analysis, the wound analysis, the healing analysis, all these places AI comes into picture as a support. So this is how in medical imaging, like an overview about the medical imaging. Now, before jumping to where all AI can come or what are the solutions, let's talk something about artificial intelligence. So this is very interesting because artificial intelligence, I think, even though it has started its like bloom from the 1950s, early 1950s, the history is going back from there. But it's late, I think after 2000 something, they have started showing the results. Okay, people are more accepting it once this is like even when I started my career, I think it's not that far. It's nearly in 2017 also. I never thought that in medical AI would come or AI would be like this much interesting enough or would be accepted in medical. I never thought that because at that time even I was working in the industrial products or somewhere. Even though if there is misclassifications, it's okay. But in medical, misdiagnosis, it's going to be a crime. Like we can't do in misdiagnosis here. So before jumping to all those things, let's start with artificial intelligence, a small part. So these are huge things. You would have just heard machine learning, deep learning, all those names here and there. So understanding that in deep, mainly what I would say is AI is the superset of all those things. And as a subset comes machine learning, which is a decision making algorithm. Probably if you have a structured data, like you have a structured data like this particular 2030 site, this has been the price till now. So all those things, predicting something or classifying something in the structured data, machine learning was there initially. Now when it comes to unstructured data like images, analysis of images and all, there comes the deep learning, which is kind of deeper network. Okay, the network became more deeper. So that's called deep learning. So now let me pose that with this. But if you think AI as a baby or AI as a toddler, it would be easier for me to make you understand. Okay. So think that AI is a baby. We are trying to teach the baby. Okay. We ask them to join in I mean we get them in LKG. Teacher started teaching them. That's the training procedure which is going on. And then in between there will be test papers. Nowadays it's not that, but still if assessments were there at that time, that's going to be the validation. And at the end, there are going to be annual exams. That at that time there would not be like direct questions, might be, but along with the direct questions, there would be some similar questions to test the intelligence of the baby, right? So the same is going to happen in the testing phase. That is the data sets which we give during the training time. Along with that, we will have some amount of data kept aside for the validation, that is the test papers, and at the end, we would test it on something that is unseen data. This will go once it is passing the test, it would go for the deployment at any end, any software and or hardware and or anywhere. So this is the pipeline of how AI model works. Now imagine that you are teaching the child capital ABCD and then you are testing them with small letter ABCD. Will it work? No. The same thing happens in the AI model also. AI model, we should teach them. So if we are teaching with pneumonia data sets and we are asking them to predict something else, it will not work. So basically, we have to get. I mean, the data set preparation is the most important phase in any AI model development or training or anything, because during this phase we will have to analyze the data sets, get all possible variation of the data sets. All these things has to be taken care. So now when it comes to like the different types of learnings, there are three particular different types of learning. First is the supervised learning. This is nothing but we are showing the kid apple, orange images or like real apple and orange and telling this is apple, this is orange. So we have the theme and the label. So that is how we teach in the supervised learning. That means along with the images or data, we have the labels as well, like what to be classified. Now imagine I'm going to tell the model or the baby or anyone, given a box of oranges and apples mixed together and asking it to differentiate. So it doesn't know whether it's an apple or orange, it's not telling that. Instead of that, what it does, it takes the first thing, keep it aside. It takes the second thing. If it's similar to this thing, it keeps along with it. If it's different from it, it keeps aside. That is how clustering works. Basically, it tries to cluster the similar things together. That is the unsupervised learning. Now, reinforcement learning, I think every one of us would have gone through. In my case, when I was a toddler, I used to always, like in our house at around 6 p.m. something, we do light the lamp. I always used to go and touch, I mean, try to touch that fact. But my mom used to always take me up and keep me aside. But one day my dad told, let her touch it. She will get burned and she will learn. The same thing happened. I went, I touched, and I got the reward, which was a negative reward. I got burned. From then till now, I have been very careful with fire. So the model inside me got learned that was a reinforcement learning. There was the agent, which is me. Environment was my house with the lamp, and I got the reward. The action which I took was touching, and I got the negative reward that it will burn. So the same thing happens. So basically, this reinforcement learning is like used mainly for self-driving cars. You would have heard about like self-driving cars. All those things are coming up in like any self-learning agent or in mainly chess. Computer. First time they will let us win. Second time, if you play with computer, it will beat you. Okay, so it actually learns. It learns from the. So here there is a actually reinforcement learning is a bit more interesting because here there is a catch. In chess, if you knock out the other person's horse or pawn or anything, so you will get a reward. So just for an immediate reward, if you keep on like throwing out other persons, but checkmate is not considered. At that time, there is a higher chance that we will lose. So in this case, the ultimate reward is of more importance than the immediate reward. So at sometimes we will have to lose our coins or lose our pawns just to make sure that at the end we win. So like immediate reward, ultimate reward, so all those things comes into picture depending on the situation, depending on the problem statement. So this is all about the three different main types of learning which we have. So measuring the age success in 1950 when I talked about, so at that time onwards there have been Turing test if you would have heard about. It's like to measure how intelligent the machine has become with compared to the human intelligence. So many kinds of testing methods. So with particular in this scenario, I will say if there is a classification problem, okay, if there is a classification problem, we have something called this confusion matrix. That is, if we have imagine it's to classify cancerous, non-cancerous data. You have the cancerous data, which is the original, observed as the original one, and you predict it as cancer itself. So that is true positive. That means it was true, it's positive. Now imagine that the original was it is cancerous, but we predicted it as non-cancerous. So that becomes false negative. So this kind of confusion matrix we use throughout. And depending upon the problem statement, we have to decide which of these accuracy metric we have to go with. Some cases we will have to make sure that precision is more than recall. That is, if imagine that misdiagnosis happens and you have been detected cancer, but you are not cancerous. Okay, at that case, There can be treatment cost, all those things goes unnecessary. So in this case, our point would be precision would be more looked upon than recall. So it all depends. It all depends on like what is the ultimate aim. So based on that we take. Now imagine it's not a class like cancer, non-cancer or something. We have to predict a BMI or like I was telling, we have to see the price or something. It's a regression problem. If you are seeing like your age would come on face detection, all these things have happened, right? Like in mobile, you see your age is coming, age and gender is coming. So in age case, it's kind of a regression problem where it gives a value. So in that case, our like accuracy measures would be mainly like how much error rate is there between the predicted and what was the original value. So these are the different cases. So let me ask you, this would come in supervised learning or in unsupervised learning? Any answers? It can be loud a little more. Okay, so it comes in supervised learning because here we need a label, right? To see whether it's observed and predicted. Compared to the observed, for that we need a label. When there is a label, that's supervised which is coming. Okay, so in case of unsupervised, there are again so many measures like RAND index or like mutual information which I was talking about. All these things would be giving like how much interrelated the like each object which is classified into clustering techniques. By using clustering techniques, if we have made few clusters in the single cluster, how much similar they are, in between the cluster how much different they are. So all these measures are there in the like unsupervised learning. So this is an overview which is needed for AI enabled medical imaging. That's the reason I have given an overview here. So now without wasting our time, we'll quickly jump into our today's topic, that is AI enabled medical imaging. So basically, in this 8 years or 8.5 years of experience of mine, I would be able to categorize the work which I have done, or till now, like where all AI can be enabled for the medical imaging. So into four quadrants. So the first is the enhancement and correction. So for this, we mainly use AI because earlier the X-rays used to come in films. Now also they do. But still, if you had seen, doctors would look like this in the light to get to know more detailed understanding. Now we have the digital X-rays available. So here on the left hand side, are you able to see anything about the chest? On the right hand side, there are chest X-ray images which are enhanced. Okay. So earlier we used to do with image processing techniques where doctors would have to like fine tune each one by one, so that if you increase the contrast, every one of you would have done this increasing like doing some kind of image processing in your phone for your photo, enhancing your photo, making it more beautiful. That time you do have different filters. Filters are there, right? At least I think I think the younger generation would know it better. So at that time, you would have seen if you increase the contrast too much, there can be blackening out. Okay, so there can be areas eaten out which might be of relevance. So in this case, now there is AI-enabled enhancement where single click. Doctor don't have to do anything other than this. They have to single click and we get this. Along with this, we give the flexibility if that is going wrong. In that case, we have to do something, right? So for that, we will be at the back end giving the same things like fine tuning, all those options we will be giving for us. So that is one thing. Now, if you had seen this is fluoroscopy one. Fluoroscopy one, what would happen is like as I was talking about initially, it's low dose X-rays. So there can be too much of noises which are coming in. So in this noises, how to denoise it and make it more easy for the doctor to see. So for this, we have done again the AI-based enhancement of it. So you can see how it has, I mean, the grainness, how it is done, and how it has got reduced. Okay. And in third part, during the endoscopy. So these are the few of the use cases which we have seen, but there are a vast in other cases also it's there. So you can see here there are so many of reflections coming in. So there can be cases, especially during colonoscopy, what we have seen is with the camera light. So there can be a lot of fluids, stools, all those things in our large intestine. So there can be reflections because of this. I mean, camera light would be there, fluids would be there, because of which there would be reflections. Our aim is to like during main image processing, normal image processing techniques, we have tried almost everything, but we were not able to make it realistic. It's not that we are trying out to bring something, some information which is lost, because if that information is lost in the image, it is lost. But our aim is to how to reconstruct it more in a realistic way. So for that, we had to go for again a kind of A enabled A support and few of the models which tries to recreate the image. So these days, if you would have seen, if you give an older image of yours, which is already like there would be some tear or something would be already vanished. That information, it will not be able to recreate the same info, but at least it recreates in such a way that it looks more realistic and aesthetic. Okay, so our aim here was to make the reflections reduced in such a way that there will be no it would be better to visualizing it. And the polyps is nothing but abnormal cell growth which can be there in here. So in those cases, it would be easier for visualizing the abnormal cell growth. So all these cases for AA model itself, to support an AA model itself, we have done these kinds of enhancement and correction using another area. So these are places where we have done the enhancement. Now this is the best part or the most important part, because prediction, diagnosis, these places AI can be a bit twisted if there is a misdiagnosis. So here you can see there is the from brain tumor identification from the CT image, and LDTS is having a chest RA solution. I think if you Google, you will be able to see that. So if you just upload or the doctor uploads the X-ray image, chest X-ray image, it analyzes and gives 10 different abnormalities from it. And also there is an option to automatically generate the report. And the best part is that if the doctor tells it's not correct, they also have an option to change the diagnosis, so that at the back end model tries to learn it as well. So that is one part. And then during the endoscopy, colonoscopy procedures, all those things, we can see here the abnormal cell growth is very minute. Okay. So this we have seen so much. In abroad, if you have seen, it's like endoscopy procedures are kind of routine checkups. Whereas, unfortunately, in India, it is not. We get the utmost pain and we are like, okay, at the end only I will go for a colonoscopy or go for an endoscopy procedure, right? So at these times where I had gone to a hospital and visualized it, it's like the polyps are really looking or the abnormal cell growths are very much visible, so doctor can predict it or doctor can get it. Whereas in these cases, when the growth is very less, at these times it's very hard or very easy for misdiagnosis. Or if the person is in early career, there can be chances of like not getting diagnosed of this. So that's the case where we have a like solution for software-defined endoscopy. Again, if you go home, Google software-defined endoscopy, I have a white paper on the same. You will be able to download it and go through that, where we have all these things done. So here it is about prediction and diagnosis, and mainly, as I had told, we need variety of data sets to train the model. But the main challenge which we face in AI for medical images is that it's very hard to get the data sets. It's very hard for getting the data sets, mainly from the hospitals. We have to follow back. We have to get these data sets. It's very hard. So for this, now there is something generative AI is happening. It's in its bloom. So it's coming with different data sets. Like if you ChatGPT, it's very common now, right? Last day I asked ChatGPT to generate an X-ray image of chest. It just gave in I think 2 minutes. And I again asked generate a chest X-ray image with pneumonia abnormality. It generated that as well. So now it is coming like it's very like realistic image it has generated. So synthetic image generation has become more realistic now, and it's already in its bloom. So generative AI is the most thing which is coming out now. So that is about the synthetic image. And 3D reconstruction, it is that I was talking about CT, MRI, but in case X-ray images, from X-ray images, 2D to 3D, NVIDIA is doing that now. So all those things are again happening with the support of AI. And this is something interesting. So basically, if you see, if they want to do the endoscopy procedure and visualize the stomach, or if they want to do the lab intestine, one way in, one way out. But in bronchoscopy, there are multiple branches, and it's very complicated because there would be blood vessels going in between. All those things would be there. So in these cases, what doctors would do is first is we have a CT images there. So from with respect to that, they would look into which place is the abnormality, which place can be the abnormality. So that before real-time bronchoscopy procedure, pulmonologists and radiologists sit together and analyze and come with it. So for this as well, in LPTS we have developed a solution which is the virtual navigation. That is, we are making it easy for this pre-procedural planning. Take the CT images, reconstruct it, segment out the airway alone, as you can see at the end. In this airway, do a virtual navigation. So this is inside the virtual navigation. Virtual, that is the same patients, the patient which is coming to us, the same patient, from the CT image of that patient, we have taken the airway, how it would be, and there would be a tumor identified, the location of that, you can navigate to and get it. So also for like simulation of this, there is something called lung point. So at the end, if we have time, I would showcase that as well. So lung point, it's like a simulator, how the virtual bronchoscopic navigation is. So these are all about like the four quadrants which I was speaking about. Now AI in medical. So I think long back there was a movie, Chitti Chitti Robot. Everyone know Chitti Robot? Indian movie, robot movie. I'm not getting response.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So there was this Indian movie. When I watched that, I think I don't know. I was like in my like 12, 10, something like that. I think at that time I was like, Chippy is taking like taking the birth of that like kid. He is taking a delivery. So I was like, oh my god, will this happen? No, it's Rajnikant. It will happen in the movies. But trust me, at this point of time, standing now, I am sure in next 5 years or 10 years, we are going to see robots taking the surgeries, robot taking the deliveries. All those things are going to come. It is coming. It's really coming. Even if in my early career, if I had told, right, I never thought it would come into medical, AI into medical. But I think COVID, lockdown, at that time, virtual consultations, virtual treatment, all those things started coming into group, and that paved a way for AI into medical, I guess. That's my gut feeling. That from then it started that okay, in medical imaging, AI can do a lot of things. So that's how it all started. In here also there is a catch. There is something called ethical AI. Okay. So there you can see that is the two main things which I identified, but there are a lot of. In Google Photos, two African people were classified as gorillas. Okay, how can that happen? That is a very dangerous classification they did. In Google Photos, they classified them as gorillas. And in recruitment rule of Amazon, for there was a bias towards the gender bias was there. There was like women applications and men applications. Those bias was there. So there is something called ethical AI which we have to look into. That is, first thing is avoiding the bias. There should not be any bias towards any gender or any community or anything. Second thing is the privacy protection. If you are using any data sets for training, make sure that particular person face is there, or if that person's image is used, we must have the like privacy should be maintained, and also consent should be there. And third one is the transparency. That is, we should be able to explain why our AI model did this, why our AI model have predicted people like African people as gorillas. Did we not train them? Is that the reason? What features our AI model is learning? So this should be transparent and explainable. This is the main three steps towards ethical AI. Now, if you talk about the benefits, risk and all, main benefits to summarize, mainly we can do help for doctors. Okay, it acts as a decision support to doctors. If there is like misdiagnosis, not misdiagnosis, if there early preventive healthcare we can tell. In case of like as I told, right, if there is a small abnormal cell growth coming at that time, if doctor neglects it as well, a model can highlight it. So in these cases, A can be used, whereas there is a risk that no AI model diagnosis is superior to human diagnosis. At the end, humans should judge whether it is correct or not, whether to go ahead with biopsy. Because for cancer, if you see biopsy is the end thing to tell like whether it's cancerous or not cancerous. So at this time, doctor should finally judge whether to take the biopsy and send it. Based on his expertise, he can do that. So definitely, but AI can act as a decision support. Now, I think today morning I had seen in news that in China, a virtual hospital is going to come. That is, everything would be AI, robots and AI. If such hospital is coming in India, in Mysuru, how many of you will go there? Oh my god, so after hearing this, till now, you will tell, oh, you tried? Great. So at least I have some one person who would try it here. So
I think it's better compared to many medical doctors.
Oh, okay. Okay, so did you have any prior experience with any misdiagnosis? Okay. So in this case, I think
That's the fourth largest cause of death around the world.
see.
Yes.
So now we have the answer for it, right? So my last slide is how to trust AI in medical. I think 90%, not 99 percentage of this community here, you have told you will not trust AI. Correct? Only 1% among these many number told you will trust AI. So I'm telling you, at least at this point of time, everything is not moved to robot or moved to AI. Okay. So don't hesitate to try something out. Only if you try, we get the data set. I was just kidding. Okay. So it just acts as decision support at this point of time. Ultimately, doctor has to tell whether you have to go with it or not. Second, be very vigilant about this that when you are doing, so they have to ask you for consent that if they are trying out something on you, if you are under the table doing the endoscopy procedure and they are doing a model testing that, but that's not going to affect you, but mainly they have to get your consent for that. If your data is going to be lost to any A model training or something, so it has to be, the consent should be there. Then the third thing, mainly for developers, if any of you are going to be in future or like you are leading a team who are having a develop like projects or something, make sure how you are going to define the functionality of that particular model. Okay, so be very clear about what features would be learned by the AI model and how it will be like reacting to it. At the end, there is something called FDA approval. So don't think that AI model is like they would try something, they would test it on us. No. Any medical applications, if AI model has to be there, we have to get the FDA approval. So it's very important, and only after that it would be there in the hospital. So at least have some faith in AI so that you will be able to experience it. And as he was telling that, so I think there can be less misdiagnosis in that. Along with make sure that definitely I'm sure there would be it would be decision support, doctors would be there. So in this case, don't be scared to try something out. Okay, don't get left behind. Okay, I think with this I'm concluding my talk for today. So in case of any queries, I am open for it. Thank you. Questions?
Can AI predict now? Euthanasia is one thing that is coming up. Can AI predict how long a person can live with the existing disease and so that you can take a decision for euthanasia?
Okay. How long a person will live is a difficult choice because only God can predict it. Okay. Because there has been cases where even though the person is suffering from cancer, that person has lived longer than what doctor predicted. But AI can predict how the tumor would be progressing based on a time series data. So there is something which I didn't touch upon, that is time series data. So based on your past, like if there is a tumor or if there is a disease or something, how it is growing, that would be learned by the AI model, and it can predict if this is going at this pace, how or in how much time it can grow into the larger pace. So that is possible with AI. I hope that answered it.
Most of the things you said is towards diagnosis of the treatment. I mean, something like what can be done, what should be given,
Prescription.
especially in terms of medicine.
Correct. Okay.
Now, medicines are not, I mean, I had a little negative attitude towards some medicine, very potentized chemicals. So that kind of stream is going on. I don't
Can
know.
it also predict whether Ayurvedic treatment is better?
Okay, that is tricky. I won't comment with Ayurvedic. Okay, so about treatment, if you say, so in treatment cases, there has been multiple cases which we had seen. First thing is how the medicine is affecting, or like how it is the volumetric analysis of the tumor or something. In that case, okay, if a particular medicine is given, whether it is reacting to it or not, that can be predicted with AI. So how the person is reacting to a particular medicine, but you have to take the medicine first. Then only you will be able to predict. Second, now there is something which is very interesting which is coming, that is a digital twin. Okay, in digital twins But currently it's in industrial products, like if you do something, how it can react. So without trying it on actual patient, they are trying it virtually. Like if you try this particular medicine, how it gonna affect. So imagine that there is something for like the lung is there. There could be a 3D lung, and there would be all kinds of chemical reactions, all those things, how the inflow, outflow to heart, all these things would be taken up. And then, in case if this particular medicine is sent, so how this particular lung will react to this particular medicine. This is something which is under research, but there is something interesting which is already happening. That is, if a particular lung is taken, like if there is a tumor, if it's removed, what are the possible scenarios, like how it can grow back, or if there is a chance, like so how it will react in the digital twin. So that without operating directly, that is not after operation I'm talking about, that is again the no, without operating on the digital twin we can see how it would affect.
I know we are still far behind because so much of data is included. What I mean is, in a virtual effort, can it replicate an organic system like that? In-house corrections are there, sensors are there.
In a virtual, we are trying to replicate it now. That is the current thing which we are doing now.
That's going wrong.
It is a long way because like without getting to know more about the chemical reactions, or in drug discovery also generative AI is doing now. So how these, like what are the chemicals inside the medicine and how it is going to react with the agents. So all those things are a matter of time.
For the AI model, you showed me that about diagnostics and X-rays can it be manipulated with original. Nowadays, we are speaking about medical scans can be manipulated by showing this as the replica. For a normal person, they are showing the affected person's AI effect series and they connect.
Correct, definitely. Yeah, manipulation, right? So here is the risk which I told with AI. You remember that I was telling when we are trying to generate the model, our aim would be more to do the precision over recall. I was telling how to measure the AI success, right? So what we have to aim is, even if the prediction is, it should be, there should be some trust and ethics in that. That's definitely there. Otherwise there can be these kinds of situations can arise. It is a risk about AI.
What are the steps you can do?
What are the steps to overcome that? So mainly first thing is that like can be manipulated means anyway, if doctor has to manipulate, definitely he can manipulate it at any go. There will not be an AI model for it, right? So anyway he can do the manipulation. So that's the reason I told you have to understand where AI is used in your diagnosis. The last one I was telling, right? Ask for consent. They have to ask for your consent, and you have to ask for it. Where you are using in this particular software, where you are using AI, for what you are using AI. After understanding that, only you give the consent.
Even without AI, doctors are manipulated.
As to the regulations, it is very important that patient health information has to be protected as per the regulations. So it is equal right of a patient to ask for data to the hospital, and no hospital can deny it. It's your right, and your data is always protected. And to answer the lady's question of taking decisions on manipulating whatever you asked, yes, there are larger companies under the platform of digital surgical platforms. There are artificial organs that is developed in the context of digital twin, what you mentioned, where they they 3D print the organs, they compare with the actual organ, create the defect in it, and appropriately develop solutions. So it's a combination of digital twin, generative AI, and agentic AI.
Is also for organized.
Exactly.
Sorry? My patent. Okay. My patents, there are 14. So, first thing which I got granted, 14 patents has been filed in India and in US. So, one thing which I got granted now in India office and in US office is the one for hairline fracture. That is detecting the hairline fracture in the X-rays and using generative AI to generate the data sets, synthetic data sets with the fracture. Because if you take data sets from hospitals, almost there would be a class imbalance. That is, most of the data sets are going to be of normal data, and few are going to be with fracture. So it's very difficult to get like class balance. So in this case, what we do is when we train just directly with that data set, there can be cases like your A model will fail to predict. So our aim is to do class balancing. So during class balancing, what we did is generating synthetic images, what I was talking about. So that is the patent which got granted. Synthetic images of hairline fractures using the existing. I think I have a question there.
Robot surgery is already posted in the robot surgery.
Robot surgery, right? In China,
I don't
that's
know whether it is true or not.
it is there. And there is a much more interesting one, which is augmented reality, virtual reality. Okay, when doing a brain surgery, you will be able to see the 3D render of that patient's brain over that. Imagine that when they are doing the virtual navigation through your bronchoscopy or something, they see it in monitor what is happening. But if they are keeping the virtual reality glasses along with it, now they will be able to see, like if I am lying down, they will be able to see my bronchial tree on top of me. Something like virtual reality glasses you will be wearing with that. This is something which has already been done. I have a question there. Yes.
Ma'am, you said that you saw the news that in China it will be coming that robot AI will treat you whatever you are using. So I have a question that what happens when a robot or AI will treat us in when we have a disease or human treat us when we have a disease. Is it better than a human or humans are better than AI?
At any point, humans are better than AI because we create AI. Correct? So it's our product. So humans are always on the upper hand than AI. So at the end, it has to be approved by a human. But this China bringing out the AI hospitals, this is just a news which I saw, but I'm not sure by when they are going to bring. If the AI model gets too much intelligent to do that, but there is no 100% accurate AI model at any cost. If there is 100% accurate, that's a error. Okay, no AI model can be 100% accurate. Even humans can't be 100% accurate, right? So how come AI models will be? So at that time, there is a chance if that intelligent robot is gonna do it, but I hope there would be a human behind it. I very much hope for that because there can be misdiagnosis. But if misdiagnosis has to happen, that can happen from humans also. But for the question which you asked, whether humans or AI, definitely my answer is humans. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Do you recommend any software which can help in looking for details of ECG, which can read out the specific aspect?
For ECG, I'm not, I haven't seen. I'm not sure at this point of time whether there is any software. It should be there. I think we ourselves are working on ECG signals, but not for, generating ECG signals. Again, for the training, how to generate synthetic ECG signals. So that we are working on. But for like analysis of ECG signals, you were telling about, right? It should be there. I have not worked on it or directly I know about the softwares. But if you want to, the possible things which I know is about the bronchoscopy procedures. I know. Then for X-rays, we have softwares are available.
Can you recommend any?
If you ask me, definitely I'm going to recommend the one which I made, right? So LTTS is having chest array software is there, solution is there, but chest array, if you search for, right, you will be able to get it. There are so many software which are already coming in. For example, the one which I told, which we are working on software-defined endoscopy, that abnormal cell growth detection, right? Medtronic company is already having that. Medtronic has already brought into it. Okay, so Medtronic is having. Then if you see chest array also, there are so many competitors for it because during the COVID time there was a vast thing like chest X-ray analysis, like post-COVID how it has changed, pre-COVID how it was, all those things analysis. There has been lot of softwares are already available for chest array. my company, first thing is digital twin, which I was talking about. How to create like virtually, how to treat virtually, how the medicines would react. But before that, like how the treatment has to go on. Then the virtual navigation through your bronchial I showcased now, right? So that was that lung point one was just like a simulator. But in our company, I'm working on the real time one. That means the a patient CT would be given, how to reconstruct it into an airway alone and do the virtual navigation through that. If possible, if I have luck, then definitely we are going to develop the augmented reality one as well. There are many cases which we are working on, especially even in eye surgery we are working on. So there are a lot of medical statements which I am doing. My team is like around 12 members are there under me, and NDS Center of Excellence which Sachisa have told about, that is like around 40-member team. So we do work on many of the things. Along with this, like data sets as well, like hospitals data, like how we are trying to manage all those things. That I have not included here because mainly it's not imaging, it's about data. That's it. Yes, ma'am, please.
Pain management in AI, have you done any research?
Pain management. Pain management, we have not done the research. Like one thing was emotion recognition we tried to do, mainly from our signals, EEG sensors using that, and along with the imaging. By imaging showcase, like all of a sudden, if you are like wow, or like what is your reaction? So that was not basically an like medical case, but it was for an like supermarket. We had kept right like all the like you give your reviews kind of thing. So in those things, if some there would be CCTVs when someone is analyzing a product, or imagine there is some advertisement going on. Your TV is there, cameras are there. How your reactions are happening? Like if you are interested on that advertisement for all those things. Even I think earlier, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and all have used this. How users by seeing their advertisements have reacted. Based on that, they have changed the advertisement. So for all those emotion recognition, expression recognition, we have tried. Not for pain thing. But one interesting thing was there, yeah, thanks you pointed out. So there is something called, it was for patient monitoring. So if that particular patient is in pain, it would be observed throughout if that person is in a particular like hospital or is in intensive care. And one thing was how that person posture is changing depending on that. If they are lying on an army pose or they have changed. So each time humans normally change their postures. So if they have not changed the posture for a long time, at that time there could be a signal sent for the assistance. And imagine there would be a region of interest which would be marked that particular area. If that person is about to fall from the bed, there would be like before falling, like if 20% or 30% of your like posture has got beyond that particular region, assistance call would be sent. Then if that person is in pain, obviously our expressions do change. So at that facial recognition we do, and we do the expression recognition and send for an assistance. This we have done. But inner pain management we haven't. Identification and calling for assistance we have done.
Since you talked about emotions, this is AI is going to help for mental health, like
Mental health. I think for insomnia, a model is used, but that again use headband throughout your sleep. You will have to wear a headband, get the sensors, get your signals, and there would be like things which would actually soothe you out. Like there would be some like if your sleep is going to break, there would be some kind of soothing things which would be sent through your headband to make your maintain your sleep. This is that. But again, it's not as easy to wear a headband and full of wires and sleep, right? If that person is in a hospital or something, definitely it's right. But at home, I think. But if you are feeling from like very much of insomnia and you are unable to get the sleep and all those things, definitely these kinds of AI model researches are going on.
So, on behalf of Kutuhali and Kalasurachi, we will thank Akshaya for a wonderful session. And
Thank you.
it's also also exciting that we have completed 3 years running this series of Science Sanje successfully. Every month we get this crowd full, all full of crowd. So, ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬೆಂಬಲದಿಂದ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ನನಗೆ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಮುಂದಿನ ತಿಂಗಳು ಜೂನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಟೇಶನ್ ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರ ನಂತರ ಜುಲೈನಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ನಾಟಕೋತ್ಸವ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. 3 ವಿಶೇಷ ನಾಟಕಗಳು ಮುಂದೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಬೆಂಬಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಸದಾ ಇರಲಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Yeah, actually, I thank Shashi sir for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. When he called me and told me this, actually, it's a long time. Like, I have not done any tech talk sessions outside LPGs just like that. Other than tech talk sessions, I had done a long time before. So, when he told about this, I was scared actually and interested also. So, I told him I'll once come and attend some session and then I'll tell you, sir. So I have been on that side of the dais as well, and now this side of the dais. I thank him so much that he he really captured my interest and he gave me this opportunity. I never thought I would get a chance like this, like outside the organization, to meet people like experienced people like you all. So I thank him for like giving this opportunity, and also Sharma sir. He was the one when Shashi sir was not here. He had contacted me as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Sorry, ma'am. This talk, if I get opportunity, definitely I will repeat the talk. I am so glad to do that.
Now there is a template.
And if you would like to see me again with any more other topics which you are interested in, please let me know. I am ready to do the research and come to you. Thank you so much.
Mic